What's up, YouTubers? This is Matthew Jaidev, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to take you into a little bit of an insight about how I create my loops live. Let's jump into it, and we're going to have a great time spontaneously creating music. RC-505, and this is a great tool for songwriting and coming up with spontaneous creation. One of my favorite things to do is to just allow the creative, almost like improv of music, to flow through me, and this is an amazing tool for that, because for me, music has in a sense almost been like this messenger, and when I hear an initial musical phrase or musical rhythm, melody, or beat kind of be laid down or presented to me, in hearing it in a looped fashion, what it does is it gives your mind room to explore what could happen next. And so that's what I'm going to actually show you how I create. And it's come to be something that I've come to really trust in the process and trust in my creative voice and really just enjoy it. Just the joy of it itself is what allows me to create uninhibitedly, and it helps me to turn off my judge, the voice that says, oh, that doesn't sound good or that's not good enough. So let's get right into it, okay? So the RC-505, it basically is composed of 5 different loop banks, and each loop bank you can essentially record a phrase or an idea onto it. And then you can record what is known as overdub, as many overdubs or as many layers onto one channel as you like. And then you have different faders for each one that you can basically delegate which sounds are louder or quieter in your mix. And it also has a stop button, so you can start and stop your loops as you go. So the way that I like to do it, I like to put my similar sounding musical expressions in the same bank. So what we got here, for instance, I always like to start in the first bank with some sort of rhythm or some sort of tempo-based idea that creates the foundation for the whole rest of the song. So for instance, I'll show you here in a second, like some sort of beatboxing or some sort of rhythmical idea that I can get my entire body in movement and trained to that actual expression, okay? And I'll show you what that looks like. And then each idea I kind of delegate a new musical phrase to. So for instance, like in the second phrase, I might put something more like a bass line. My third phrase, I might put more of like a backing vocals or some harmonies. And then the fourth and fifth, I kind of leave it up to what the song wants. Maybe I'll come up with a lead melody or some sort of riff or phrase that carries the song. And so yeah, let me show you how it works. And like I said, what's cool about this looper is it has its own built-in tempo. So you can click here on the tap tempo and it will tell you, I don't know if you can see on my screen very well, but let's see what it says here. 92.5 is the tempo that it's calculated. So if you're not sure what that sounds like or feels like, if you're not familiar with tempo, tempo is measured in BPM, beats per minute. What's great about this relationship to music and us as humans is our heartbeat is also measured in beats per minute. So this is actually kind of like the phenomenon of how musicians, or DJs I should say in particularly, are able to get a crowd moving or dancing, because they can increase and decrease the tempo as they observe the space and see how are people moving, when do people need to break. So for instance, I've learned over the years that, for instance, 60 BPM, if you create music around that, that's almost like a lullaby. That speed is going to slow your heart down to a rate that you probably will fall asleep depending on what the musical content is. So I have found I've actually had to go a little higher than 60, maybe like 65 BPM if I really want to have a real slow song but not actually put people to sleep. But that's the beauty of music, is you can use it almost like in a prescription type of way or a medicine, where you can say, you know what, I want to create relaxing music or peaceful music, so I'm going to create at a slower tempo, softer, more gentle sounds, more meditative. But then on the flip side, you got all the genres of music and dance music. So when you get up to like 120 BPM, that's almost double that 60, or it is double. And so now you're moving at twice as fast the rate. And then as you keep going, you know, like if you get up to 180 BPM, that's more like drum and bass music. It's like so that, you know, you're not going to be sleeping during that. That's really high-paced music and movement. I don't know if our heart rates would really get that high, but as you see, you're going to be more apt to be moving your body. And so what I like to do is I like to kind of just tune in to what kind of musical expressions want to come through me in the moment. And the way that I do that is I just kind of like sense what is my inspiration in the moment, okay? And so getting back to that very first track, you're creating your initial beat. You can do it one of two ways. You can use the built-in tempo. So for instance, if I press the start rhythm button, listen what happens. Okay, so you're hearing now that BPM that was already set there, 93.5 or 92.5, whatever I had. Okay, but if you decide you want to have something at a different tempo, you can tap out the tempo. So here I'm tapping it out, and it's actually closer to like 80 something, 82 right now. So now listen, a little slower. Okay, so I'm going to create something with that tempo in mind. And you don't need to use this, but the way that the loops work is that you need to start the loop and stop the loop right on the beginning or end of a musical phrase. Otherwise, it's not going to loop properly. It's going to sound, let me give you an example. So if I was like, okay. Okay. So, okay. The way sometimes I'm in time and tempo, but it wasn't right on the beat when I stopped it, and so that wasn't the best example. But let me give you a better example where you'll see me press it and start my phrase and end it at the same time. When this light turns red, that's actually recording mode. When I press it again, it's going to go, the setting have it into automatic overdub mode, meaning it's going to play back that loop and then give me a chance to immediately record something on top of it. And then I can hit it one more time and it'll just play and I can listen. So watch, it's been recording everything I'm saying. Red, that's actually recording mode. When I press it again, it's going to go, the setting have it into automatic overdub. Okay, and then I got volume here. It's going to play back that loop. And so if I started talking, now I'm in overdub mode. I can hit yellow. And so what it's doing is it's recording over that loop that I just did. Red. That's actually recording mode. I did it. When I press it again, it's going to go. When I come back here, you're going to hear my voice again. So it's going to sound like a noise going to cook off. And here I come. And here comes the other. Now I'm in overdub. Oh my gosh, 3 voices. And so what it's doing is like a crazy conversation going on right now. And so this is the way that that's actually recording mode. I did it. When I press it again. So that's a non-musical demonstration of how this operates as far as a loop is concerned. But when you do it in a musical expression, that's when it really comes to life. So let's use that tempo. Okay, and when it turns red, 2, 3, 4, that's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you're going to use your rhythm here, you want to make sure you start on the 1 because that it will throw your loop off otherwise. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see what I did there? I did the like a kick sound. Then I did like a hi-hat, and then the breath, just kind of like some rhythmic. And so those were all recorded on the same loop channel, but because I started that loop with a kick and then I hit a button again to end the loop, it went into overdub mode and I could record immediately on top of it. So this is what I got. So let me just kind of play around and then I'll tell you what's going on, okay? You also have these effects up here. So I'm going to turn off my metronome and you can hit stop. And when it's red, that means you've recorded an idea onto your loop itself, okay? So this loop bank or loop channel has one idea on it. And the great thing about this unit too is there's so many features. It would take me a long time to tell you what everything could do, but you have effects built in. So effects are ways that you can modify your input signal, whether you're using your voice, whether you're plugging in a guitar or a synthesizer or a keyboard. And so I have some presets here that I like to use. One is like an octaver for I like to create bass sounds, so you can hear that. So I'm just saying, ooh, 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 and then I go to the octave. So let me see now, I'm going to put the bass on another loop channel, okay, number 2. And once again, you can control your volumes. The volumes have no effect on the loop, on the recording volume. Up here I have what's called your mic gain, and if you have an instrument plugged in, you have an instrument gain, and then you have an overall volume for everything, okay? So this, if I started changing this knob while I was talking, you see my voice kind of goes away and it gets louder and quieter. Okay, so that's your mic gain based on what my microphone is picking up. This here is your volume for what is playing back, okay? So if I press play with this down, you're not going to hear anything. But as I start pulling it up, you'll see I'm bringing my signal in. So let me try to make a bass line. And the way that I like to do it is, once you've got an idea, listen to it again. This is what I was talking about initially. This is how you can allow the pure inspiration to come through you. So listen to what you did and rehearse a few times before you go and record your next idea, okay? And you want to also record when this line comes back around. It's letting you know that the loop has begun. And this is showing you its progress, okay? So when it comes all the way around, that means it's coming to the end of the loop and it will start again. So you want to start the recording of this right as this one is starting at the beginning, okay? So, and let me try. I'm just gonna improv for a little bit, and when I feel like I grabbed an idea, like when I feel like, oh, that idea makes me feel good, then I'll record it and see how it sounds, and then it will inspire the next, okay? Rhythms, I got my bass. I usually kind of like to keep those separate because in a song then I could cut pieces in or out. So if I'm like, you know what, I just want to hear my bass right now, I could be like, and bass. This is like when you can create like what's called a break in a song, let people kind of take a breath, because if you have the same thing playing over and over and over for a long period of time, you might get ear fatigue, or you might get bored and you might just not want to listen to that song anymore. Or if you're performing, you might have people watching you, and if it's the same thing over and over, they might get distracted and go do something else. So this is how you can keep things interesting for yourself as a musician, but also interesting for the audience who is listening. Okay, and now I'm just gonna play around and have a few other effects in here, like delay, like delay, like da 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 delay, da 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 delay, da 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 delay, da 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 delay. And so these are how I create more texture and spaciousness. Also reverb. And so I tend to overdo it. I do what's called when you put an effect on this unit. So if I have this button, it's A, B, and C. A, I have bass. B is delay, and C is reverb. Reverb is like recreating the spaciousness of a space. Like if I sound like I'm in a cave, I can adjust those settings. Whereas delay is like a repeated sound, repeat. And then up here they have a knob. This knob controls what's called your dryness and your wetness of an effect. So watch, if I put my reverb on, if I turn it all the way to the left, that means no wet signal, no effect. Only my dry, it's called dry signal, what's just coming in unaffected. And if I start turning this, you'll start hear that in the background? The reverb. Now watch, if you go real loud, you gotta watch it because it could become too much. Check. Hello? 100%. Wow. And the one thing you have to be mindful of when you're doing this type of work, be mindful of where your speakers are in relation to your microphone, because if my headphones get too close, the sound that's being played through my headphones is going to bleed out into my microphone, and it can create what's known as a feedback loop. So you'll hear that as I turn this volume up and I get real close. You can start hearing a high-pitched sound. That high-pitched sound, that's called a feedback loop. Okay? And so sometimes when you're at a live show, you might hear that sound and everybody holds their ears because it's painful. That's usually when a performer puts their microphone too close to one of the speakers and it feeds back very quickly. So just be mindful of that. So let me just get back to creation mode and we'll just have a little fun. Top of your voice. So I was like, so in this unit, if you record something and you didn't care for it, you can actually press the stop button and hold it down. It would delete that. I was a little off pitch, so when I harmonized it, it sounded a little strange. Let me try it again. So usually at this point, I feel like a pretty good momentum going. And so what I like to do, you can go back and add. So I'm going to add like a snare. It's like rolling my tongue. So let's check it out.
Hey,
pull this out. And one thing you notice there, at some point, you could maybe hear my, it was called as peaking. So it's not always easy to see, but on my, if I get real hot on my mic, see this red light starts lighting up. That means that you're bringing too much signal in. And so I actually had too much signal recorded. When you get too many layers built on top of each other, the sound gets to be such that it can overdrive or overload. It's called peaking. Okay, so be mindful. You might hear that when I turn it back up. But that's one thing, if you're going to be a live performer, you kind of need to be an engineer and a performer at the same time. And so you just be mindful about listening and expressing simultaneously. Now let's go on an adventure. And that is how you create a live loop inspired in the moment. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe below and leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought about this. If you got any questions about the RC-505 or my recording process or anything in general, please leave a comment. Tell me what you enjoyed. Tell me what you'd like to learn more. And I look forward to creating more videos for you coming up soon on my YouTube channel. All right, everybody, much love. Thank you.